Hello students. Now in this session we will discuss about alcohols, phenols and ethers, few named reactions and the corresponding questions. See, when it comes to alcohols we should have a brief hold on these methods of preparation. Alkyl halides when subjected to hydrolysis using KOH or any hydroxide. Alkyl halides when subjected to hydrolysis gives alcohols, right? And this is one method of preparation. Next is reduction. Reduction when aldehydes or ketones or anhydrides or carboxylic acids or esters. We have to remember in this way. See, instead of by hearting different equations, we have to remember in such a way. Aldehydes, ketones, anhydrides, carboxylic acids and esters in presence of a reducing agent. In presence of a reducing agent gives the corresponding alcohols. See, all these functional groups can be reduced to the corresponding alcohols. See here, at this moment we should learn one more point. Suppose if a reaction is given like, this is an aldehyde, propanol. Okay, propanol, it is a 3-carbon chain, propene aldehyde group is there. When this is subjected to reduction with nickel or palladium or platinum, what will be the product? And when it is subjected with the lithium aluminum hydride, reduction with lithium aluminum hydride, what will be the product? So this sort of questions we need to remember. You know, lithium aluminum hydride can reduce only functional group, polar groups, not C double bond C. Okay. So if it is nickel, palladium or platinum, they follow adsorption mechanism. You studied this adsorption in surface chemistry. They follow adsorption mechanism. Wherever unsaturation is there, that will be reduced by nickel, palladium or platinum. Okay, that's why in presence of this surface catalysis, surface catalyzed condition, this unsaturation and this unsaturation both will be reduced, and that will be reduced to the corresponding alcohol, saturated alcohol. This unsaturation is reduced. Even CO unsaturation is also reduced to the corresponding alcohol. If it is lithium aluminum hydride, it can reduce only the functional group, not CC unsaturation. Do remember this point. See, this double bond will be as it is, giving an allyl alcohol. Okay. Lithium aluminum hydride can also reduce CC unsaturation only if it is in conjugation. If it is in conjugation with an aromatic ring. If the C double bond C is in conjugation with an aromatic ring, then that C double bond C can be reduced by lithium aluminum hydride. For example, if you consider this molecule, when it is subjected to lithium aluminum hydride, this is a functional group, alpha beta unsaturation, it has aldehyde. Now this aldehyde can be reduced. Anyhow, lithium aluminum hydride can reduce. This unsaturation also can be reduced by lithium aluminum hydride due to the conjugation of this unsaturation with an aromatic ring. Only in such condition, this unsaturation can be reduced by lithium aluminum hydride. Now in this case, the obtained product will be this one. So both functional group unsaturation and CC unsaturation, carbon-carbon unsaturation, both were reduced by lithium aluminum hydride. Do remember that lithium aluminum hydride, or even in a slow manner, sodium borohydride also can reduce CC, alpha beta unsaturation of an aldehyde only when it is in conjugation with an aromatic ring. This is a very important point. Do remember this. And when it comes to the next method of preparation from Grignard's reagent are very good nucleophile generators. See, this is an ionic bond, Mg plus and R minus. So R minus nucleophile can be readily generated from Grignard's reagent. Organometallic compounds plays very important role in this. So it is a nucleophile generator. This nucleophile attacks at the carbonyl carbon. This Grignard's reagent can react with a ketone or an aldehyde or even an ester also. Ester, acid chloride, wherever good leaving group is there it can attack. The condition should be, here it should be a good leaving group. You know the purpose of good leaving group. If it leaves the site, addition is possible, substitution is also easier. Now, Grignard's reagent can be added at carbonyl compounds like aldehydes, ketones, esters to get the corresponding alcohols. Here also one shortcut is there. Grignard's reagent with formaldehyde gives primary alcohol. Grignard's reagent with other aldehydes gives secondary alcohol. Grignard's reagent with ketone and ester gives tertiary alcohols. Okay, so in this way we need to remember the methods of preparation in a brief manner with shortcuts. And then when it comes to hydration of alkenes, another method of preparation of alcohols, hydration of alkenes. See, here we need to concentrate on two named reactions. One is hydroboration oxidation and other one is oxymercuration demercuration. Two important named reactions they are. They comes under hydration, addition of water to unsaturation, C double bond C. Hydroboration oxidation condition is in presence of borane or B2H6, anyway it can be given, borane and tetrahydrofuran. The purpose of tetrahydrofuran is to hold this boron, because boron is electron deficient in BH3, you are aware of that point. As it is electron deficient, it will be in search of electron pair donor to compensate its electron deficiency. That's why it may not be available for our reaction in situation. That's why to hold this boron, tetrahydrofuran will be used as a solvent. And this boron, it initiates the reaction with hydride donation. This hydride will be donated to this, and the terminal carbon C- will be joined with boron in that way. Next, H2O2 generates hydroperoxide, and that hydroperoxide attacks at the terminal, boron carbon terminal. That's the mechanism. So we need to remember the mechanism also. Another point is important point, and most important point is, even though mechanism is not anti-Markovnikov, but the product will be anti-Markovnikov. Obtained product will be anti-Markovnikov. Mechanism we cannot say, even though it's given in some books as anti-Markovnikov. See, from BH3 hydride is initiating. Negative part of the addendum is attacking at carbon having less number of hydrogens. It's a point of which rule, tell me? Markovnikov, no. So how can we say it is anti-Markovnikov mechanism? Mechanism is not at all anti-Markovnikov, but the product is Markovnikov. That's the point of difference we have to show. In hydroboration oxidation of alkenes, product is anti-Markovnikov, and another important point is the added hydrogen and hydroxy group, OH group. See, this is the newly added hydrogen and this is the added OH group. Both this H and OH will be on the same plane. It is a syn addition. We have to remember that added H and OH will be on the same plane. That's why it is said to be syn addition. Okay. And when it comes to the next method, oxymercuration and demercuration, its indication is the mercuric acetate. It forms a cyclic intermediate in this way. Mercuric acetate, it forms a cyclic intermediate like this. So mercuric acetate. Okay, later H2O will attack and this acts as a leaving group. In that way, it follows Markovnikov addition mechanism, and the product also Markovnikov product. Hydroboration gives anti-Markovnikov product, whereas oxymercuration gives Markovnikov product. And this is a point of difference we need to remember with respect to alcohols preparation. And when it comes to phenols, phenol, when benzene is treated with oleum, benzene sulfonic acid will be generated. It is an acid. When it reacts with the base, corresponding sodium benzoate, and in presence of H+, like finally it gives acid catalyzed reaction, it gives phenol. Another method of preparation is when chlorobenzene is treated with the sodium hydroxide at 623 Kelvin, Dow's process, right? It gives sodium phenate. Sodium phenate, which on further reaction with an acid gives corresponding phenol, right? This is some methods of preparation of phenol. So these are next methods of preparations. Aniline on diazotization. Aniline on diazotization. See, actually this is a very important reaction. Diazotization needs nitrous acid HNO2. As it is unstable, that should be prepared in situation using sodium nitrite and HCl. As it is unstable, it should be prepared in situation using MeNO2 and HCl. Aniline on diazotization gives benzene diazonium chloride. This on hydrolysis gives phenol. Benzene diazonium chloride contains a very good leaving group. N2 plus in the last class in hydrocarbons and mechanism, especially alkyl halides, aryl halides mechanism part, we discussed this leaving group ability. N2 plus is the best leaving group among all. Right. Because of the good leaving group, it can be readily attacked by this H2O and phenol can be obtained. And when it comes to cumene, this is called as cumene. When subjected to oxidation gives cumene hydroperoxide. Cumene hydroperoxide, which on further acidification, which on further hydrolysis in presence of acid gives the corresponding phenol. And here you need to remember some conditions like aldehydes, ketones, acids, acid chloride, anhydride, ester and unsaturated compounds. From these many set of compounds we can prepare alcohol. It may be primary, secondary or tertiary or anything. Even unsaturated compounds on hydration gives alcohols, on reduction gives alkanes. So the question is what type of reducing agent are suitable for preparing alcohols, where they can be taken, where they act, where they cannot act. This point of differentiation one should notice. Like aldehyde can be reduced to alcohol using lithium aluminum hydride or sodium borohydride or hydroboration technique and hydrogen. Means metallic, nickel, palladium or platinum, metallic in presence of adsorption mechanism. See, like that, lithium aluminum hydride can reduce aldehyde, ketone, acid chloride, anhydride, ester to alcohols. See, lithium aluminum hydride cannot reduce, only CC unsaturation. We discussed already in the previous slide. Lithium aluminum hydride cannot reduce CC unsaturation. Do you remember? It can reduce only when that CC unsaturation is in conjugation with the aromatic ring. Do remember, that's a very important point. That is called hard and soft acid base principle. Based on that, we can explain that mechanism. Lithium aluminum hydride can reduce aldehydes, ketones, carboxylic acids, ester, acid chlorides, anhydrides and esters to the corresponding alcohols. The point is, what type of alcohol? Suppose ketone can be reduced to secondary alcohol. In that way, we have to remember. And sodium borohydride can only reduce aldehyde, ketone and an acid chloride. That's it. Sodium borohydride can reduce an aldehyde, ketone and just an acid chloride. Okay. And when it comes to hydroboration technique, it is useful for all except acid chloride. Hydroboration technique cannot be used for the reduction of acid chloride to alcohol. And when it comes to catalytic reduction, metallic in presence of a metal, nickel, palladium or platinum method, see, it is applicable for all type of unsaturation as we discussed. See, even for carboxylic acid also, we have to use ruthenium catalyst. We are going to study, you might have studied in PU carboxylic acid preparation also. This point of difference, lithium aluminum hydride can reduce any of these functional group to the corresponding alcohols, and it is not applicable for the reduction of CC double bond. It can reduce C double bond C only when the double bond is in conjugation with an aromatic ring. Sodium borohydride can reduce only aldehydes, ketones and acid chlorides. And hydroboration technique is not applicable for carboxylic acids, and metallic reduction is suitable for all. This you have to remember. So this is a list of oxidizing agent. When it comes to the chemical properties of alcohols, oxidizing properties plays a major role. Alcohol can be oxidized to aldehyde, ketone or even a carboxylic acid. First of all, this point you have to remember. Alcohol can be oxidized to aldehyde or to a ketone or to a carboxylic acids. Right. Here, there are so many oxidizing agents. Which oxidizing agent is suitable for what? That point we should be very clear. Right. See, we have a list of oxidizing agents: potassium permanganate, potassium dichromate, chromium trioxide in sulfuric acid and acetone called as Jones reagent. Among the list of oxidizing agents, these three are strongest. These three are strong oxidizing agents, and usually see potassium dichromate acidified or alkaline in presence of heating, and potassium dichromate acidified and Jones reagent in presence of sulfuric acid and acetone can be used for the oxidation of alcohol directly to carboxylic acid. Directly to carboxylic acid, that point you have to remember. So alcohol can be directly oxidized to carboxylic acid using either this or Jones reagent. Next, when it comes to their conditions, potassium permanganate in any condition never stops at aldehyde. It's given in some books, they may give wrong print. It never stops at aldehyde. If at all aldehyde is formed, it will be quickly oxidized to acid. No doubt in that. So it never gives aldehyde as major product. Potassium permanganate always gives carboxylic acid only. Even potassium dichromate also never stops at aldehyde as major product. Its major product is always carboxylic acid. Sometimes aldehyde may be formed when alcohol is taken in large excess. When majority of alcohol is taken, oxidizing agent will oxidize all alcohol to aldehyde and least amount to acid. In such a case, major product may be aldehyde. Such points you have to remember. This is what we need to learn, not by hearting equations. And then Jones reagent also usually never stops at aldehyde. Never stops at aldehyde means aldehyde will be formed but will be readily oxidized to, may be formed but readily oxidized to acid. That's what the point we need to notice. And in this case of Jones reagent, sometimes aldehyde may be formed. In which case? In case of allylic alcohols and benzylic alcohols only. So allylic alcohol and benzylic alcohol oxidation, one particular selective oxidizing agent is there, that is Jones reagent. Right? And then the rest of the agents, see, this is pyridium dichromate, dipyridium chromate, pyridium chlorochromate, pyridium dichromate. These are all mild and selective oxidizing agents. They are used for the oxidation of alcohol to aldehyde only. See, even dimethyl sulfoxide also. Okay, dimethyl sulfoxide also. These are all selective oxidizing agents. Selective oxidizing agents means they are particular for alcohol to aldehyde. See, they cannot be used for alcohol to acid. Alcohol cannot be oxidized to acid. Similarly, secondary alcohol can be oxidized to ketone using any one of these except the cetic ammonium nitrate. Cetic ammonium nitrate is a mild oxidizing agent. It is used for the oxidation of only primary alcohols to aldehydes and aromatic methyl group. See, aromatic ring connected CH3 methyl branch can be oxidized to aldehyde. To oxidize such methyl groups which is present in the aromatic ring, cetic ammonium nitrate is the best oxidizing agent. So like this conditional nature of oxidizing agents we have to remember. Other oxidizing agents are manganese dioxide, MnO2. MnO2 is another important oxidizing agent which is usually employed for primary and secondary alcohols to aldehydes and ketones, but it is specific for allylic and benzylic alcohols to aldehydes. Allylic and benzylic alcohols are selectively oxidized to the corresponding aldehydes using MnO2. Already we discussed one more such selective agent. What is that? Jones reagent. Jones reagent and manganese dioxide are selective for the oxidation of allylic and benzylic alcohols to the corresponding aldehydes. And when it comes to the other mild oxidizing agents, copper at 300 degrees Celsius, silver carbonate, etc., they oxidize the primary alcohols to aldehydes, secondary alcohols to ketones. And the condition for silver carbonate is it cannot oxidize a hindered alcohol group. When alcohol is surrounded by bulky alkyl groups, when it is surrounded by big alkyl groups, such alcohol cannot be oxidized by this silver carbonate. And the last point about this list of oxidizing agents we have to discuss is tertiary alcohols cannot be oxidized. They show dehydration to give the corresponding alkenes. For example, if you take a copper, tertiary alcohol in presence of copper gives alkene rather than giving the corresponding oxidized compound, right? Alcohol or ketone, instead of expecting that, tertiary alcohol usually gives a dehydrated product that is alkene. And when it comes to another important one, that is called as Limix oxidation, Limix oxidizing agent, very important. That is periodic oxidizing agent, because we use periodic acid or potassium periodate or sodium periodate, sodium or potassium, whatever it is. IO4 minus, KIO4 or NaIO4, etc. Anything can be used. And lead tetraacetate. These three behaves in the same manner. Remember, iodic acid, periodic acid, potassium periodate or sodium periodate or lead tetraacetate. All the three or any one of these three can be used and is called as Limix oxidation or Limix oxidizing agents. So their purpose is they oxidize 1,2 diols. 1,2 diols means adjacent OH groups. Like if it is a CH2OH terminal alcohol group, this Limix oxidizing agent oxidizes that to the corresponding aldehyde. And if it is a CHOH, secondary one, if it is a secondary alcohol group, that will be oxidized to the corresponding ketone. And if it is an aldehyde, terminal aldehyde, that will be oxidized to the corresponding formic acid. aldehyde will be oxidized to the corresponding formic acid. This is all by the cleavage of CC bonds only. And if it is a ketone, direct ketonic group, then that will be oxidized to the corresponding carbon dioxide. These points we have to remember. That's it. See, now let us apply this. When this is glucose. Okay, glucose molecule when subjected to periodic oxidation, see CC bond cleavage we have to apply. How many CC bond cleavages we are doing, that many number of periodic acid molecules are required. That is another question possible. And now apply the shortcut. Terminal aldehyde will be oxidized to formic acid. Terminal aldehyde will be oxidized to the formic acid. And this will be CHOH will be oxidized to formic acid. Like 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 CHOH groups are there. Plus 4. Totally 4 plus 1, 5 moles of formic acid. And terminal CH2OH will be oxidized to the corresponding aldehyde, right? Means formaldehyde. So this will be oxidized to the corresponding formaldehyde. So what are the products obtained? 1 formaldehyde and 5 moles of formic acid molecules. This is the shortcut we can use for Limix oxidation. See, do remember primary alcohol to formaldehyde, secondary alcohol to formic acid, terminal aldehyde to formic acid, ketone to carbon dioxide. If you take, suppose instead of glucose, if you take fructose molecule, suppose CH2OH, fructose, no, here C double bond will be there, OH and H if you take, for example. So whatever the isomeric form, some fructose, isomer of fructone if you take, and if you subject this to periodic oxidation in presence of 5 moles of periodic acid, break the bonds. How many moles, how many bonds we are breaking? That many moles we need. That is another question. So terminal alcohol will be oxidized to the corresponding formaldehyde. Next, CO will be oxidized to carbon dioxide. CHOH 1, 2, 3 will be oxidized to the corresponding formic acids. How many? 1, 2, 3. 3 moles of formic acid. Again, terminal CH2OH will be oxidized to the corresponding formaldehyde. So 2 moles of formaldehyde, 1 mole of CO2 and 3 moles of formic acid. This is the usual question that they may raise on periodic oxidation, right? This is about another oxidation called as Oppenauer oxidation reaction. It is oxidation of secondary alcohol to ketone. Do remember, this is a very important named reaction. Oxidation of secondary alcohol to ketone. Secondary alcohol is oxidized to ketone. But what's the condition? In presence of a base. See, aluminum tertiary butoxide is a base. Bulky base it is. And another ketone. In presence of a base and a ketone, secondary alcohol can be oxidized to ketone. Secondary alcohol can be oxidized to ketone in presence of a base and another ketone. Meanwhile, this is getting oxidized, whereas that ketone gets reduced. This ketone gets reduced. It is a hydride acceptor. This one acts as a hydride acceptor. So we have to remember that in Oppenauer oxidation, hydride transfer also involved. In that way, we can answer some questions. So Oppenauer oxidation is oxidation of secondary alcohols to ketone using a base and another ketone. Meanwhile, that ketone gets reduced to the secondary alcohol. We have another important point. Exactly the reverse of this reaction is called as Meervin-Pondorf-Verley reduction. MPV reduction. Meervin-Pondorf-Verley reduction means reduction of a ketone to secondary alcohol in presence of a base and a secondary alcohol. So exactly reverse reaction. Next one is haloform reaction. Usually this haloform reaction, aldehydes or ketones or alcohols having CH3 group. CH3 alcohols means they should have, see, this is an alcohol, suppose carbon bearing functional group is alpha, this is beta. So for an alcohol, there should be 3 beta hydrogens. That's a condition for an alcohol to show haloform reaction. It is in presence of halogen, in presence of a base, or NaOH, like that. Okay. In any way, they may specify this. For an alcohol, condition required is 3 beta hydrogen. If it is an aldehyde or ketone, as this itself is the functional group, this is alpha carbon, 3 alpha hydrogens. Aldehyde or ketone should have 3 alpha hydrogens. Alcohol should have 3 beta hydrogens to show haloform test. Or methyl ketones or methyl ketonic groups do show haloform test. And when it comes to esterification, this is the reaction between carboxylic acid and alcohol to give ester in presence of acid catalyst. The most possible question from this is they will give some isotope. Suppose O18 is given here, O hash is given here. Which oxygen goes where? This is O18 and this is O hash. Which oxygen goes where in these products? So the point to be noted here is it is a nucleophilic addition reaction. It is a nucleophilic addition. Means what is the nucleophile? This oxygen itself acts as a nucleophile and attacks at this electrophilic carbon. So this oxygen is getting joined here. So whatever the oxygen comes here, that is O18, that's from alcohol only. And this O hash will go out in the form of water. So this is another possible question. So this comes under esterification, right? So these are, this is a small test of differentiation between primary, secondary and tertiary alcohols called as Richter-Meyer's test. One question is possible even on this differentiation test also. Primary alcohols when treated with HI or phosphorus plus iodine, PI3, the purpose is preparation of PI3. It's a nucleophilic substitution. Alcohol, OH will be replaced by iodide. So corresponding iodide is formed. When it reacts with silver nitrite, so it is also a nucleophilic substitution reaction. The corresponding nitro compound will be formed. This when subjected to diazotization, HNO2 nitrous acid reaction gives nitrolic acid, this one. Okay, nitrolic acid. Actually, the mechanism resembles diazotization, but the product is not diazotization. When it reacts with nitrous acid, it gives a nitrolic acid, which on further reaction with NaOH gives blood red coloration. When it comes to secondary alcohol with the PI3 or phosphorus and iodine gives the corresponding iodide, which on silver nitrite reaction shows nucleophilic substitution to give corresponding nitro product, which on reaction with nitrous acid gives a pseudo-nitrol. This pseudo-nitrol on reaction with a base gives blue color. As primary and secondary alcohols give such a blood red and blue color, this is also called a red-blue test. Red-blue test. Because red for primary, blue for secondary. Like that we can remember. When it comes to tertiary alcohol, on reaction with PI3 or phosphorus plus iodine, it gives corresponding iodide. On further reaction with nitrous acid, it gives no reaction. See, as there is no reaction and no change of color, that stands for tertiary alcohols. Now, let us discuss some reactions from glycols. Even though ethylene glycol is not a direct compound given in NCERT in the syllabus, but in view of AIMS examination, this one, students, better we study this one. Ethylene on oxidation in presence of Bayer's reagent gives glycol. Ethylene when subjected to oxidation with osmium tetroxide in presence of pyridine and sodium sulfate also gives glycol. Ethylene on oxidation with a mild oxidizing agent like silver also gives glycol. Ethylene with peroxybenzoic acid also gives glycol. And dibromoethane when treated with sodium carbonate on further hydrolysis also gives glycol. So these are some reactions of ethylene glycol, some important reactions I am discussing. When reacted with sodium, it is with respect to temperature. At 50 degrees Celsius, monosodium, see monosodium, acidic nature of alcohol, this acidic hydrogen is replaced by sodium. And at 50 degrees, only one sodium will be replaced. At 160 degrees, both hydrogens, acidic hydrogens were replaced. Similarly, with PCl5, one OH will be replaced by chlorine on further reaction, another one. So likewise, with the PCl3, PBr3 also the similar product will be formed. But when it comes to iodination, see, it reacts with PI3. Initially, the two OH groups were replaced by iodine's nucleophilic substitution reaction. But the thing is, this compound is highly unstable. Not only in this, whenever it is 3 carbon, 4 carbon glycols also, whenever side by side iodines were placed, I2 will be coming out as an immediate product. Do remember this point, and unsaturation will be generated. From that point, from that step, you can continue in the chain reactions. Next, when it is treated with HCl, OH will be protonated, H2O plus acts as a good leaving group, Cl attacks the site, like that one chlorine. And at a higher temperature, 200 degrees Celsius, another such chlorine will be replacing. And with a dilute nitric acid, it is an oxidizing agent, we are all aware of that. OH, both the OH groups will be oxidized to the corresponding carboxylic acids, oxalic acid. With the strong oxidizing agent, potassium permanganate or potassium dichromate, glycol will give formic acid. With para-iodic acid it gives, this is called Limix oxidation. Just now we discussed with para-iodic acid glycolic oxidation takes place giving formic acid, 2 moles of formic acid molecules. Similarly, this is a dehydrating agent. Concentrated sulfuric acid acts as a dehydrating agent. When ethylene glycol is subjected to dehydration using concentrated sulfuric acid, 1,4 dioxane will be the product. These are some examples in chemical properties of phenols. When phenol reacts with bromine, 2 ways are there. Bromine water, bromine in CCl4 or CS2, means aprotic solvent and protic solvent. Bromine water gives 2,4,6 tribromophenol, whereas bromine in CCl4 or CS2 gives ortho and para products. Right, ortho and para brominated products. And in case of sulfuric acid also at 25 degrees ortho product is mature, at 100 degrees para product will be mature. And when it reacts with hexamethylene tetramine, okay, hexamethylene tetramine in presence of a base, it gives salicylaldehyde. This reaction is particularly called as a Duff's reaction. Similarly, phenol when reacts with chloroform in presence of a base alkali, this reaction is called as Reamer-Tymon reaction, which gives salicylaldehyde as a major product. Right? Now let us discuss some other properties. And when it comes to the rest of the properties of phenol, this is Kolb-Schmitt reaction. Phenol when subjected to reaction with carbon dioxide in presence of a base. This is an electrophilic substitution where CO2 itself acts as an electrophile, giving major product as salicylic acid. This is called as Kolb-Schmitt reaction. And another important reaction in terms of Ames was Lederer-Manesse reaction. Phenol when reacts with formaldehyde gives a mixture of ortho and para products. On further reaction followed by polymerization, they give bakelite, a polymer called as bakelite. This is an important reaction for the preparation of bakelite. And phenol when subjected to oxidation, there are 2 types of oxidation. In presence of air and sunlight it gives para-benzoquinone, and in presence of potassium paradisulfate in presence of a base it gives para-quinol as product. Phenol and when subjected to reduction with zinc gives benzene. We studied that in benzene preparation, right? And when it comes to the action of hydrogen halides on ethers, so important part is it follows which mechanism that we have to decide. When an ether is treated with HI, it follows an SN2 mechanism usually, giving one alcohol and one alkyl halide like in this way. So it forms oxygen, forms oxonium ion intermediate like this. OH plus will be formed, oxonium ion will be formed. Among the 2 alkyl groups, this O plus is satisfied by whose inductive effect? That will be with the oxygen. So among these 2, ethyl is more inductive. That's why ethyl is satisfying the O plus by inductive effect. Methyl will be the leaving group. So methyl is readily attacked by iodide. Methyl is readily attacked by iodide in an SN2 approach. Whereas in the same ethers, when it comes to asymmetric having a tertiary alkyl group like this, it follows SN1 mechanism because here it follows the stable carbocation intermediate thing. As tertiary carbocation is more stable, first that will be formed which is attacked by I-. Tertiary carbocation will be attacked by I-, it follows an SN1 approach.